Hello everyone, my name is Irwan Junaidy, but people call me Rogue. I actually studied architecture in university, but about 10 years ago, I co-founded the R&D Studio with a high school friend. Nowadays, I act as a producer in the company, but once in a while, I do write and direct, and I had the pleasure of co-directing the Dalang Tale with two really talented ladies, Maizura and Atika. It was in 2018 when I had just finished my first short film, Batik Girl. So me and Mai, we were talking about doing a project together. We were both into wayang kulit, and we knew whatever project that we were going to work on, it was going to be based on wayang kulit. But at that point in time, we did not have a story at all. So we had a lot of conversations. In one of those conversations, we were talking about domestic violence, and immediately after that, we knew that we were going to tell a story based on domestic violence.
Hello, I'm Maizura. I'm an English teacher by training and a freelance writer by choice. I've been writing scripts for animation, working with Rogue for a few years now. In the Dalang Tale, I'm co-writer and co-director. So why make a film about domestic abuse? Well, we personally know people who are in abusive relationships, and we feel helpless. There's nothing we can do about it because it's a really personal and complicated issue. But we hope by making this short film, we can put out an important message, which is to stop the cycle of abuse before it's too late. There is a chasm in artistry and professionalism between the initial, the first draft of this story to the final product. There's just so many changes. You see, we first presented the pitch for our short film to the judges at Animation Dumont, an animation pitch session in Manila organized by Annecy. Back then, we did not have a firm plot, so we thought we might tell a fantasy story, and we wanted to tell the story in a linear way then, but we didn't have a plot, so we sort of made things along, because what happened at this Animation Dumont was we had to present our pitch every day and to the judges. So we sort of made up a ridiculous plot about the Dalang falling out of a window onto a plow and severing her legs. It was just so completely ridiculous. I think Rogue has not stopped being mortified by this, this far-fetched storyline that we came up with. So when we came back to KL, he sat down and he watched a lot of series and films where he really liked the concept, and he thought, okay, let's do a story where you have two worlds. You have the real world, which is about a boy and his father, and we have the wayang kulit world, which is the story of abuse. So that changed. The fact that it was a linear story, and then it became this story which switched back and forth between two worlds. And also we changed the title, because initially it was called The Last Dalang, and then we changed it to The Dalang's Tale.
Maizura and myself, we have this fascination on wayang kulit. So we went to see wayang kulit shows, we talked to the Dalangs, we talked to other experts such as Tintoy, who does fusion wayang kulit. We wanted to know everything about wayang kulit. There are many types of wayang kulit actually. The most famous is the Balinese wayang kulit. The designs are more long and graceful, but we were more attracted to wayang kulit from Kelantan, a state on the east coast of Malaysia. There is one big difference between wayang kulit Kelantan and the other wayang kulits. and that is wayang kulit Kelantan has colors. The puppets in wayang kulit Kelantan, they have translucent parts, translucent panels, in which when light shines through, it casts colored shadows on the screen. So we love this about wayang kulit Kelantan, and we wanted to have the colors play a part in the storytelling in the Dalang Tale. From our research on wayang kulit, we found many cool things that we wanted to put in our film. One of it is the positioning of the characters in wayang kulit. In wayang kulit, the bad characters or the kasar or the coarse characters are always on the right of the dalang, while the good characters, the halus or the more refined characters, are on the left of the dalang. So we thought this was an interesting idea because you could immediately tell who are the good guys and who are the bad guys just based on the positioning of the characters. So in any shot that the mother and the father in the wayang world, when they're together, the mother will always be on the left and the father will always be on the right. But there is one exception to this rule. In this one particular shot, when the boy comes out of his room and he sees the mother stabbing the father, he sees the mother on the right, the bad side, while he sees the dad is on the left side, the good side. So in the boy's point of view, the mother is a bad person here. There are also other elements in wayang kulit which we use in the short film. The most prominent is the use of the pohon beringin or the tree of life. This is the spade-like design which we used as a motif throughout the short film. In wayang kulit, the pohon beringin is used by the dalang to start and end the show. In our short film, we use the pohon beringin as a design on the ticket to the wayang kulit performance. It is also used as a cucuk sanggul. A cucuk sanggul is that hair ornament that the mother uses on her bun, and it is the pohon beringin which also ends her suffering as a victim of domestic abuse as well.
We consulted Google, of course. We perused the websites of important organizations which support the victims of domestic abuse, like Women's Aid Organization and World Health Organization. We read a ton of articles on the subject, and we could not believe the shocking statistic on domestic violence that we came across. And we tried to make sense of the nature of this crime. It is a crime, okay? Let's get that straight. So we wanted to educate ourselves on how domestic violence can be stopped and in what ways we can be supportive to the victims. Then we talked to Ivy Josiah. She's one of the founding members of Women's Aid Organization. And it was after talking to her that we formed a clearer understanding of how we should tell the story and what messages we should include in our film. We really wanted to make a film which reflected the reality of an abusive situation. Do you know what domestic violence is about? It has to do with gaining power or control over someone you are in an intimate relationship with. And domestic violence can affect a person's physical, mental, sexual, and reproductive health and result in death. 38% of all murders of women globally are committed by their intimate partners. That is a huge number. The COVID-19 pandemic has seen an increase in the cases of domestic violence worldwide as people become more isolated during lockdowns, and there is an increased exposure of women to their abusive partners. So you see, it is one of the most important stories to tell in all of humanity, People's dignity, health, safety, and lives are compromised and at stake because of domestic violence. With our film, we want to be one of the voices speaking out publicly against domestic violence. There are too many to mention, but we hope these ones come through clearly in our film. Number one is to stop the cycle of abuse before it's too late. Number two, it is never the victim's fault. The abusive partner often inflicts violence to assert his control and power. So, whatever you do, you're never going to please them. Number three, women must never, ever give up on their rights. They have a right and they deserve respect, understanding, and compassion. What more from an intimate partner? Number four, women must never give up on their goals and dreams, especially if it's important to them. Number five, women must always empower themselves financially. They should never feel forced to stay in an abusive relationship and endure all the violence. Number six, women must tell their stories. They must seek help and they must get out of the potentially life-threatening situations. And lastly, there is no shame in telling your story of abuse. You must never ever suffer in silence. So those are the messages that we hope, come through in our film.